Hey guys, today we have some spring planting and I am just so excited. It's not super warm out today, it's like low 30s, but it's not snowing. Most of the snow has melted out of the yard, which I appreciate. And it's not raining either, so it's a win-win for planting. So the other day, someone in town posted a bag full of Siberian iris starts, and they just threw them out at the end of their driveway, and they said free to taking. So I went and scooped up that whole bag of them, and I have a plan to plant them down in this middle bed. Now we've barely done any work on this middle bed. The only thing that I've done is just like trimming and pruning back all this stuff. And since we took out all the trees, I noticed that all the plants in this bed were kind of growing that way. They were reaching for light. But now this season, this summer, they're going to be getting a lot more light from this side of our property. So I'm thinking and hoping that eventually if I prune them and kind of retrain them, they will grow back up a little bit straighter. But in the meantime, I thought it would be fun if we spent some time working on this bed. So the first thing I want to do is get going on planting these Siberian iris starts. I'm going to show you what they look like. Weird looking, right? So we're going to put a whole bunch of these. I thought we'd kind of loop them in like a half moon shape around that bull pine down there that we planted a couple weeks ago. And then when I was in at the store, I picked up a few different things. So in this big bag, we've got some daylilies and some more Siberian iris. So we'll kind of scatter these throughout that lower bed area. And then I picked up some climbing clematis, which I'm very excited about. I've been wanting clematis for a while now, and I finally found this, and that's why I bought this entire bag, was because I wanted the clematis. So the clematis is eventually going to go on one of these trellises to connect the bed, so it'll grow over that, and I'll plant one on each side so they kind of slowly connect. I'm not going to work on that part yet today until I get the trellises fixed and kind of like taken care of for the season. So today we're going to focus on planting the daylilies and the Siberian iris starts. And then I also picked up some peonies, and I have a couple different peonies, I think 3 or 4 of them in the front garden bed, but I thought it would be fun if we took these and put them somewhere along this edge right here. We'll find a good spot for them. I do have a whole bunch of those metal holders for peonies so that when they get tall they don't bend over and break, but we won't need that obviously until they actually get started. So that is the plan for today. And then my second part of the project was down in this lower garden bed, only on the first half, there is fabric, landscape fabric. And all the weeds and everything are just growing on top of it because it's been there for so many years and it's just never been kept up. And I don't know the real intention of it, if it was to prevent erosion or if it was to just prevent weed growth. Either way, the fabric only runs to about here. So my goal today is to kind of start over on that far end and work my way this way and rip out as much of the fabric as possible. And then I'm slowly going to plant grasses and other ground cover stuff in that entire area. So it will not just be like plain leftover dirt. But the fabric only comes up to that certain point, which I'm not really sure why it ends there. But I figured that would be a good project for today, as long as my hands can handle the cold dirt. So I've got some gloves, some pruning shears to kind of like trim things up as I go if I notice anything that I missed already. And then we're gonna plant all these Siberian iris starts and lilies and those peonies. So let's get started. Okay, so it says for our Siberian iris starts, we do 1 inch deep, 18 inches apart. I'm just gonna kind of ignore the distance apart, but I will plant them 1 inch deep. Okay, and then the dailies are also 1 inch deep, 20 inches apart. So we'll just kind of scatter them throughout. Okay, get out of the way. got all of the Siberian iris in the lower garden bed area. The ground was actually still pretty frozen, so there were some spots that I wanted to put them, but I just couldn't get them in the ground yet. And the spots that were soft enough, that's where I put them. So we've got some scattered right here at the base of this really pretty maple tree, and then we've got the rest of them kind of down running along that rock edge by the bull pine. So I feel good about that. I don't know if it's going to be possible to rip up the fabric today because everything is still pretty frozen, but I'm gonna try. But before we do that, I want to get those daylilies in and then the peonies. And I was thinking maybe we'd put both of them in this side garden bed over here, so let's do that quick. The variety of these ones are the Sarah Bernhardt, I think, peonies, and then the Felix Kraus. Winter Hardy zones 3 through 8, so we're a 7 here. So I think we'll just scatter some right here. Tried to do this task that I wanted to get done today, but it's just not going to happen. The ground is way too frozen, and I'm like pulling it apart and it's just ripping underneath the snow and ice that's still left in the garden bed. But I got a decent chunk, and this is definitely a project that now I know has to be done, you guys. I feel so bad for these plants. That fabric is like wrapping around the base of the plants. Stuff is growing on top of it, like 2 to 3 inches of soil and weeds. And everything underneath is just so trapped. The good news is that the soil underneath is still really great. I found tons of worms when I was digging around, and it looks like it's in really good shape. So it will be really good for planting, and I'm sure the plants will appreciate once I get all of this stuff that's just trapping them down in there removed. That being said, it's not really a super fun task, so I'm going to call it quits on that for today, and I'm going to put my energy into something else. I'm going to work on continuing to get rid of this pile of mulch. Was looking at the chicken and the duck run yesterday, and I was thinking to myself, wow, the winter really took a toll on the outdoor run space. So I think I'm just going to shovel loads of it over the fence and drop it in the run and have them mess it all up and push it around. But I think it'll be good to do a little spring run coverage with all that extra mulch. So that is what we're going to work on for the rest of today, and we will come back to the fabric removal project at a later date when it is not so frozen, perhaps sometime later this spring. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this little spring planting video and maybe had a good laugh or two watching me hack through the ice to plant these starts. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you later.